Colby Chaos Covington is a largely misunderstood fighter. Not necessarily because we don't understand his fighting style, his heel routine, or his political affiliations. No, Covington is misunderstood because we, the public, from way up here in the nosebleeds, can't form a consensus on where heel Colby ends and real Colby begins. Is his MAGA routine authentic? Is his trash talking scripted? Does he really want that geriatric Biden smoke? I need to know once and for all, is Colby Covington faking his entire personality? And is that really justification for the awful things that he said? And God forbid, it turns out that he is just a little bit phony. What is he really like behind closed doors? To answer these questions, we're going to have to, for better or for worse, get to know the man. For me, that means gritting my teeth and watching a bunch of god-awful documentaries. You, on the other hand, get to cut to the chase. Okay, so before we really get rolling here, I want to ensure that we share a bit of common backgrounding so you're not sitting there wondering what the hell is going on. Colby Covington is a UFC fighter with an outlandish, objectively toxic persona. In the fighting business, this is generally categorized as a heel fighter designed to rile up fans for profit with a wink and a nudge. While I believe that most UFC fans have heard the origin story of Colby Covington's heel persona as told by one Joe Rogan, it's important that this story is fresh in our memory before we continue.
And Gilbert, but I think the Colby Covington fight was probably the most satisfying for him.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I think it was the most satisfying for a lot of people.
Not for Colby.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear Colby's a really nice guy.
He is a nice guy.
I hear he's great.
I've hung out with him at the Comedy Store.
I've never met him before.
Do you know the story?
No.
The story's interesting. This is what happened. They had him scheduled to be cut, and he was about to fight Damian Maia. And they told him, listen, your style sucks. We don't like, I don't know who said it to him. Yeah. I don't know what the words were, but essentially what he said to me is they told me you're boring, and we're going to cut you even if you win. That story, his character was because of desperation. He created that character. When you talk to him in real life, he's not like that at all.
Yeah.
He's a wrestling heel. Like, he really is like Ric Flair or like some wrestling guy. But meanwhile, everybody goes crazy.
With that situation, he almost got in a fight with somebody outside of one of the hotels. It was Verdum. I guess because he called him filthy animals, right?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Verdum.
Okay.
Verdum's a proud Brazilian.
Yeah.
Brazil's
doing that.
filled with very proud people.
100%.
They love Brazil.
Now, this narrative is perhaps the most commonly cited when this subject is invoked. People really do believe this, from fans to fighters, but is it true? Is the Damian Maia fight really when Colby concocted this personality change? Did the UFC really threaten to cut him if he didn't pull something out of the bag? Why is Joe Rogan so incredibly vague about the details of who told him this? Proving or disproving the origin story of Colby's heel routine is the heart of this video, and I want you to do your best to keep Rogan's story in the back of your head as we unravel one Mr. Covington. On February 22nd, 1988, in all alliteration intended, Clovis, California, Colby Chaos Covington was born. Covington's family made the move from California to Springfield, Oregon when he was about 8 years old, and he would immediately pick up wrestling as his primary sport. Through the town's Thurston High School, which unfortunately has had a recent school shooting, Covington became an esteemed 171-pound state champion. After failing to get accepted into Arizona State due to his low test scores, Covington enrolled at Iowa Central Community College in Fort Dodge, Iowa, and continued his perfect amateur wrestling record to a cool 34-0. Oh, and a little side note, his roommate at the time, John Jones. Yeah, small world. I don't even really have any notes on that. I don't understand how that could happen. Later, Colby would transfer to Oregon State and qualify for an NCAA tournament, earn All-American honors, and win twice a Pac-10 conference before beginning his journey into MMA and eventually the UFC.
Dong Hyun, 23 years old. Colby Covington, 3 years his elder. Colby! Chaos! Covington! Wang Anying!
And at Central Iowa Community College, where he was a teammate and roommate of UFC light heavyweight champion and can't defend himself. That was all. Covington, if he gets pumped, brutal shot was right on his time on Lee Robbins, right on top. More big shots. Hit it all over. Colby Covington. But tap out Juju strikes. Colby Covington.
The experience was great. I've been working my whole life, I feel like, for these moments, and I've been calling to be in the UFC for a long time, for a couple years, while I was down at the American Top Team. So, I was grateful to get the opportunity and to do so. Doesn't matter where it's at. It's great to go to China, but it was definitely a different experience. So, it was great. I can't really put into words what it felt like, but it's the first of many. I guess so, man. That's what my coach over here, Mike Brown, put the other day. He put a picture up being a road warrior. I didn't really think about it until then, but it's kind of weird. I went to China, fought a Chinese, and now I'm in Brazil fighting a Brazilian, but I'm just happy I have a job. I'm grateful to fight for the UFC. I can't thank the UFC enough for that, so it doesn't matter if I'm the villain or a good guy. I'm here to win fights. I'm a little frustrated with that.
Okay, I want to make something crystal clear right now. We just watched Colby Covington's very first fight in the UFC, and he's already referencing themes of, being the villain, the bad guy, the heel, doing what he can to get by and going on the road and being a road warrior. He is already discussing these things. Whether it's from frustration of his placement in such a remote card or what, he's already flirting with these ideas. Now, we are 7-8 fights removed from the Damian Maia fight at this point, so I find it curious that we're already starting to see a little bit of that ideology foment within him.
In the UFC's welterweight division, the 27-year-old Brazilian Wagner Silva taking on the 26-year-old American.
And there it is, going for a ride.
And Silva goes for some offense there with the elbow, and Matt declaring the winner by tap out due to a rear naked choke, Colby Chaos Covington.
Man, that second round, I hit him with a two-piece, and I felt it on my hands. I hit him really hard, and I noticed him wobble. I thought I was going to get the finish by TKO. I was just, I'm surprised he was able to battle through it. But he's a veteran. He's been in a lot of tough fights. He's fought a lot of great fighters. So, I expected a tough Brazilian fighter in Mike Pyle, and it's a good win. I'm just only getting better from him.
You got it very early, and you faced an undefeated Colby Covington, tough guy. Were you expecting it to go longer than that?
Cara invicto no Colby Covington, você esperava uma luta mais dura que durasse mais tempo?
Eu estava preparado para tudo, mas eu sou cara oportunista e se a oportunidade aparecer, eu vou agarrar.
I'm always prepared for everything. I go in there prepared for all the rounds, but I'm an opportunist as a fighter. I see the openings and I take them as they come.
How is Ottawa treating you, and how do you plan to celebrate after this fight?
Ottawa's been great, man. I can't say enough good things about Canada. The fans here, they're unbelievable. Even though they were booing me in the cage, they were completely respectful afterwards and before. So I had a great time. Canada, this place, look at this weather. How could you not like it here? So. That's not the first time in China. I made a guy tap out to strike, so it's not my first finish like that. But that's what I do. I just put a pace on guys that they can't match. A lot of punches to the face, a lot of volume, and I just make guys quit. That's what I've been doing since college wrestling days.
How satisfying was it, considering all the trash that he talked in this fight? You were pretty dominant on the ground. So how did that feel to kind of shut him up?
You know, it was satisfying, but, you know, it's not a big deal. You know, he's not a big name or anything, so I don't really take a lot of pride in it. I expected to finish him. That's why I told everybody on media. I said, hey, I'm going to finish him. I told Joe Silva I'm going to finish him, and I want to slot on UFC Portland in my home, and that's what I did. So, you know, that's why I wanted to make sure I proved the point.
It doesn't feel that good, to be honest. It doesn't feel satisfying. I didn't fight to my full potential tonight. I knew I came here to get a finish, and I didn't get a finish, so plain and simple, I'm not happy with my performance.
Was there something in particular, or was it just not getting a finish?
Yeah, just, you know, I know I'm better than that on my feet. You know, I'm a better striker, but, you know, I had to sacrifice the last 4 weeks of my camp. I didn't get to train. I had a little injury, so I couldn't train the last 4 weeks of camp, so I pretty much just sat on the sidelines, did some swimming. That was it. That was about it, and showed up here tonight. So, you know, you probably saw a quarter of my potential. I know I'm a lot better than that. You're going to see a lot better from me in the future.
Colby Chaos!
Make some noise for Colby Covington. That was a very blinding pace. If Dong Hyun Kim exits the octagon, please give him some cheers as well. A word with your winner.
I'm the home crowd king this division. This is my division now. Dana, I'm size 32 waist. Get that belt ready for me. So you've been very vocal about calling everybody out. You called out all the Asians. Just got a winning top potential matches for you in the future. I want bigger names now on my title shot. Fresh blood, baby. I'm coming for it all. The best in this division.
Was there anything that surprised you about Dong Hyun Kim's style?
No, he's wild. I respect him a lot. I love all Asian fans. Nothing but respect. It's my time, baby. No one's stopping me right now.
Colby Covington is now 7-1 in the UFC. He has wins by technical knockout, submission, and by decision. He is, by all accounts, a journeyman, which is a type of fighter or performer that travels generally to best utilize their skill set to exhibit in other areas of the world. Crucially, though, I want you to understand that a record of 7-1 with a varied array of finishing techniques, outscoring, submitting, and technical knockouts, it is really hard for me to believe that the UFC put a ton of pressure on this guy to the extent where he felt the need to do an entire persona makeover at this point. I'm just not seeing it. He's willing to travel, he's loud, he's brash at this point already, but he's not vile yet, is he? He has a good record, he can fight well, he talks decent. I don't understand why the UFC would tell him he's got to change it up or he's gone. I don't see the proof of that. You just watched it. Did you see it? Do you think the UFC would cut the person you just saw? I'm not buying it. At this point, it's really difficult for me to take that origin story at face value, but we still have a little bit of work left to do. We have to watch his transformation unfold.
For the winner by unanimous decision, Colby Chaos Covington.
I should have knocked him out. Brazil, you're a dog. All you filthy animals suck. I got one thing to say. Tyron Woodley, I'm coming for you. If you don't answer the front door, I'm going to knock it in, and I'm going to take what's mine. That welterweight belt. We ain't translating tonight, baby. What?
I am here with the winner and new interim welterweight champion, Colby Covington. How does that sound?
First off, Joe Rogan, all I want to say is this is a real championship belt. I'm going to do what a real American should do. I'm bringing this belt to the White House, and I'm putting it on Donald Trump's desk. And secondly, Joe, Tyron Woodley, you're a freaking coward. Why'd you let this little filthy animal take this ass whooping tonight? This is supposed to be you. You can't run, you can't hide no more, Tyron Woodley. I'm coming for you.
Anticipation for a possible fight between you and the UFC's undisputed champion, Kamaru Usman. I gotta think after these 25 minutes, you feel pretty confident about your chances not only to get that shot, but against Kamaru. Hey, I didn't buy a ticket to come see you guys. You didn't buy a ticket to see me, so shut up and let me finish my interview. Morning fake news, man. I don't want to wait till November 2nd, Madison Square Garden. It's Madison Square Garden. We can do it tonight. We can do it right now. Where you at? Where you at?
Okay, so he's called Brazil a dump. He's called Brazilians animals. He's basically denigrated every single fighter that he's fought past this heel turn, and not in a pretty or productive or necessarily even provocative way. Just real amateur level bad faith insults. That's pretty much the shtick. It's weird almost.
Head. Do you feel like you've won the game of mental warfare and that maybe, it's going to affect his performance on Saturday?
Sweet bed sheets. What happened to your hair, man?
It's funny you say that, because that big old head with that 30% hairline still left, I own all the real estate in that head.
Listen, I fought this fight sitting at about 30%. Everybody knows what I'm capable of. That was 30% right there, and I still dominated a tough so-called Viking. Dominated him, and that was at 30%. Who do you want next?
Do you think maybe Tyron asked not to engage with you in person?
Yeah, I would think that Tyron asked to not engage with me in person. He's doing his little thing. He's trying to copy what I do. He's wearing some hat that says whatever it said, make racist fade again, but the only person that's catching the fade is Tyron Woodley on Saturday night, and he's the only one that's racist. And the only race there is in this fight is the race to get him out of the UFC. Fight Usman for the title?
I mean, the guy's a fucking fraud, dude. Tyron Woodley's a fucking joke, man. I mean, look at what he's done on TMZ. Look at his little rap album, his wannabe fucking acting career that he wishes he had. I mean, the guy's a fucking joke. That's why they call him Ty Quill, and he's not getting no rematch with Marty Fake Newsman. That fight was not even competitive. He lost every second of it. He's washed up. He's fucking shit. Now, I'm not talking about just as a fighter. I'm talking about as a person. I mean, the guy's ugly. I mean, the guy's fucking just completely pathetic, dude. Like, the guy needs to retire already. He's washed the fuck up.
The only thing I'll probably say to him is, I hope your mom's not watching. Mama Woodley, don't watch this fight. You don't want to see your son go unconscious in that octagon September 19th. He knew I trapped his arm, and I was getting ready to put vicious ground and pound on him and finish him right there, and he just would rather take the easy way out. He'd rather be a coward, a spineless coward like he is. So he's a woke little bitch, and he got exposed tonight, and that's why he's been running me for so many years. I've been calling him out for 5-6 years now, and this is exactly why I was calling him out, because I knew I would do this. And no one's broken, no one's finished him, so don't take away from my finish. He got knocked out, he got broken tonight, just like I said I was going to do and retire him.
Fair enough. And last thing for me, Colby, again, there's a lot of interesting scenarios here for you, right? We know Usman and Burns is supposed to happen. I mean, you've earned a full camp. You've earned the right to know when the date is. But will you keep yourself ready just in case to say, even if it's a week notice?
Okay, I think Kamaru Usman broke Colby Covington, and I'm not talking about his jaw, although that's also the case. I think Kamaru just broke his brain, because ever since he fought Kamaru and lost, he kind of just turned into a bit of a dick. He really just doesn't stop insulting everybody over everything, and he's bringing up people's family members, and I mean, you can feel that, right? He's just really unpleasant, and that's not necessarily what a heel is about, is it? Now, there are only 2 more fights left, because Colby almost never fights in the UFC, despite being incredibly proud of it. We have Kamaru Usman, number 2, and Jorge Masvidal.
I'm standing in front of you. Talk. That's what I thought. Twitter thug. What? Say something. Say something. Say something. No, you looking at your phone. Say something. I'm in front of you. Talk that shit you want to talk on Twitter. Talk that. What? What you do? What you do? You ain't done nothing.
Phenomenal fight, great pace.
So here he is, the champ, standing right next to you. You spoke about it in the octagon afterwards. What do you have to say? You guys are face to face.
No, actually, I got a question. Honestly, first of all, congratulations on your performance. But you're standing here and you're kind of talking now. When did your balls drop? Because
the only thing you're losing faster than your hairline is that Power Ranger belt. When do your balls drop? Stop faking.
For Kamaru, is that a possibility?
It's a possibility. possibility tonight.
Let's do it tonight. Let's do it right now. Let's go right now. Let's go right now. You suck, bro. Let's do it right now.
Look at that. Look at that.
You suck.
He talks big.
You talk
there's
big.
Security in front
yeah,
of us.
says the
We
guy
saw
who hasn't
the
fought in
videos.
8 months.
The judges score the contest 48-47, 48-47, and 49-46 for the winner by unanimous decision and still.
You know, they didn't do this fight with me and George. He's been talking recklessly in the media. He's been saying all this shit. Oh, it's on side. All the talk I say, I walk the talk, and I talk the talk, and I walk the walk. Let's see it, Street Judas Masvidal. There's nobody on the UFC roster that Street Judas, that fragile guy Masvidal, he can beat right now. That guy's washed up. I mean, I saw the discipline and the way he trained for years. The guy's nothing. I mean, he has no skill set. And
your children!
Yeah, that's a good one.
Forget about your children, you deadbeat motherfucking dad! You a deadbeat! A rich to pay for all fucking shit! You're a handout little bitch! You took the GVP loan, you took fucking the Obama phone, hey, you still got your Obama phone? You still got your Obama phone?
I had an Obama phone.
Yeah, you fucking did, you
Yeah,
lying
tell
ass
me.
piece of shit! You're a lying ass fucking piece of shit, bitch! Yeah, that's right! Right? What? Right? What, bitch? You ain't gonna do shit! You're all talk, no walk, bitch! You're a phony Montana. This ain't Tony Montana, it's phony Montana.
A political prisoner from Cuba. And I want my fucking human right now.
At this point, I think we've pretty much hit the proverbial hat trick of just really low insults from Colby Covington. I mean, we've hit family, religion, country. We've touched pretty much everything. And you really gotta wonder why. Why does he have to go for the jugular every single time? You don't necessarily have to be vulgar to be provocative. I mean, look at this channel, for example. Have you seen my comment section? I think it's really clear what's going on here. This man is utterly convinced that this is going to get him to an upper plateau in the industry. And that's really the obvious take, but it's a bit more nuanced than that. And I need you to understand that Colby didn't have to do this. He didn't have to make this choice. He didn't have to go heel. He didn't have to play the bad guy. It's just that with his particular fighting style, he absolutely did feel some pressure to maybe spice it up a bit and get some more eyes on him because, let's be honest, wrestling someone to the floor over and over again and not really putting much of a threat of finish is not that entertaining. Colby had to grapple with that. Did he have to go this way? That's my point. No, he didn't. He can. Heels can go this way, but he's compensating. That's what this is. It's just compensation. Colby retroactively fabricated the origin story to be timed just before he started folding bigotry into his repertoire. The origin story, as told by Rogan, is not authentic. Colby's decision to turn heel was not existential in nature, but capitalistic. However, unfortunately, because he's not very good at trash talking, he went way too far, way too fast, and then had to commit to it and justify it and perpetuate it. Hence, where he stands today, a phony heel that virtually nobody actually respects, a soft, even timid lad in the real world, stuck on a train that he built tracks for, but no brakes. Seeing everything laid out in chronological order makes it obvious that Colby is more of a grifter than a genuine heel. Heels work for the audience. Grifters take advantage of them. Somewhere along the way, and despite the story that he wants you to believe, Colby made a choice, and choices have consequences. Whatever loot Colby pillages from the UFC will never buy him back the respect of those who pay attention.